Paul Tully for Boxing King Media in association with theboxingking.com. I'm delighted to say that joining me today is Jason Quigley. Jason, how are you?
Not so bad, Paul. Not so bad. All's good, lad.
Jason, just for anyone who's been living under a rock and doesn't know, you're fresh from your victory against Shane Mosley Jr. out in Vegas on Saturday night. Have you had a chance to have any sleep at all so far?
I actually got about 5 hours last night. That was my first bit of sleep since the fight on Saturday night. But yeah, it was hectic. Like after the fight, we obviously went to the Irish bar and the Mandalay Bay Rira. They looked after us lovely with some food and good old music in there. And yeah, my lift into the airport was like 6 a.m. the next day after the fight, so didn't really get any sleep. Just was back on the phone chatting and texting everyone back at home, and yeah, back home here now in Donegal and happy out, so I can't complain.
Well, that sounds like a proper order, Jason, because I was going to ask you, I seen Josh Taylor having a slice of pizza and a beer, and I thought that's a bit too low key, like, you know. So I'm glad to hear.
Well, if anybody is following me there on social media, they'll see that as soon as I touched down in Ireland there, I had a big box of donuts waiting for me. So I fairly got through them there over the last few days. So and, I'm ready. I'm ready to get back on my diet again already.
Oh, yeah, quality, man. So listen, Jason, you were out for 16 months before this fight. Were you worried at all getting into it about that level of inactivity and having a bit of ring rust, so to speak?
Well, look, that's always going to be in the back of your mind. Like, you know what I mean? That's always going to be a thought that you have. But it's something like, you know, I've never stopped training in those 16 months. You know what I mean? I've always been in the gym. I've always been staying ready, and I've been always getting rounds of sparring. And so I knew it wasn't going to be a massive factor. But then again, in the fight, I did get off to a relatively slow start. Took me a few rounds to get into it, find the pace of things, and get my flow going in the fight. But when you look at it in the other sense, then, like, Shane Mosley was the man on form. He had 2 fights throughout the COVID period. And, you know, each fight he performed better. He improved massively over those 2 fights, and really started to show his worth in the boxing game. And yeah, but at the end of the day, look, I got in there and did what I had to do. Might have took me a few rounds to ease into it and to warm up into it, but you know, I got in there, I found my flow, and started using my boxing skills, and came away then with a victory, you know.
Yeah, in a way, Jason, do you think it almost worked in your favor, in the sense that the commentators on the DAZN commentary, I don't know if you had a chance to watch it back, but they were kind of making quite a big deal about, you know, criticizing in the past your engine, if you like, you know, saying that you kind of tended to run out of steam in the second half of the fight. But in this fight, maybe Mosley was expecting that to happen, but actually the reverse happened. If anything, from sort of like 5, 6 onwards, you seem to find a second wind and go up a gear.
Yeah, that was something that obviously throughout fight week we've had fighter meetings, and we've been doing interviews leading up to the fight for the TV broadcasting of DAZN, and also that was a question that kept coming up relatively often, and they were saying, you know, you seemingly kind of run out of steam in the second half of fights and late on into fights, and, you know, is there an issue with your fitness, or what's the story there? And like, anybody that knows me knows how hard I train, knows how disciplined I am, knows how great a shape I keep, even when I don't have a fight coming up.
Right.
So the fitness was never an issue. It was more of a mindset probably type of thing, that coming from the amateur game, you know, I've had over 250 amateur fights, and they were all based over 3 rounds, and it was a sprint. Like, it was just getting in there and going hell for leather for 3 rounds, doing absolutely everything you can, blowing it out of there, and hopefully doing enough. And it took me a while to kind of adapt into the professional game because, early on in my career as well as a professional, like I was stopping everybody in say 2-3 rounds, and I wasn't really getting rounds in the bank. I wasn't kind of learning how to pace myself through a fight, how to gauge myself through a fight in terms of 6, 8, 10 rounds. And but I proved all those doubters wrong big time in my fight against Mosley there.
1,000,000%, Jason. So how frustrating was it, Jason, not being able to have Andy Lee in the corner with you? I think, wasn't it visa issues or something? He couldn't travel out to America. You found that out, was it maybe just 10 days before the fight that he wasn't going to be able to go? Am I right about that? How frustrating was that?
Yeah, look, it was just another hurdle that was put in my path and in my way that just kept kind of reoccurring leading into this fight. I thought this fight was never really going to happen at one stage. It was scheduled to happen 2 or 3 different times, and COVID and just different reasons it all kind of fell through. So then with Andy not getting his visa, I was like, this isn't meant to happen. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's next? Like, look, Andy just couldn't travel because of travel reasons, like, but it was a kick in the teeth. Like, it definitely was, because me and Andy has worked together now nearly 2 full years, and we'd be preparing massively and very intensely for this fight, working on game plans, working on structures throughout the fight, building myself mentally and physically prepared for this fight. And to turn around then and for Andy not be able to go, it was a sickener, but it was too close to the fight to kind of let it get in the way. And we had to understand that this isn't an ideal situation. So how do we make the best out of it? So I have the likes of Andy Lee. Look, Andy is my coach and he's my trainer, and he's ex-Olympian and a former world professional boxing champion. But who steps into my corner then? Only another ex-Olympian and another former world professional boxing champion. So Wayne McCulloch. And look, I couldn't have asked for a better replacement. And I'm very grateful for Andy and Wayne to be able to come to that agreement and to be able to work together for my best interests. And it was great. So it was, and I'm very delighted with that now, definitely. Buddy Jack coming in here looking for a piece of action.
The boss man there. How good was it having Wayne? Because obviously, as a Belfast native myself, we know what Wayne's achieved in the game. He's an absolute legend. But he seemed to be very calm in the corner and giving you just 1 or 2 instructions during that minute on the stool. Or how good was it to have someone like that in that scenario as a backup?
Look, Wayne has been there. He's done it. He's seen it all, and that really showed in the fight week that he was with me, and obviously in the corner as well. But Wayne's presence just in the few sessions that we've done together at fight week and leading into fight night, he brought a real good vibe and real good positive energy around the camp. And he was a pleasure to have, part of the team. And you hit the nail on the head, in the corner. He was very relaxed. He was very switched on, very easy to understand with instructions, very simple instructions, because the last thing you need in a big fight is someone coming in roaring 100 different things at you and all hyped up and going kind of crazy. So Wayne was absolutely spot on, and a massive credit to Wayne. And a thank you to Wayne for stepping in and helping me out in that situation.
Yeah, brilliant. Just staying on the coaching theme for one more. Jason, when you switched then from Dominic Ingle over to Andy Lee, I know you said you've been working together for a couple of years now. What aspect of your game, if you will, do you think has benefited most from Andy's coaching and his input?
there's been a lot of things, you know. I'm a boxer at probably the back end of my career now. You know, this is, you know, the kind of the last probably chapter of my boxing career, and you're not going to change me now, really. Like, you know, you can tweak things, you can implement different small things, you know, and there's not going to be a completely new Jason Quigley, like, you know. So that's what Andy has been working on. There's just been a few simple things mentally and physically that we have been working on over the last 2 years, and you know, it has really all paid off, like, you know, and it has really I've started to kind of just now start seeing the rewards from it, especially from my fight against Mosley. And yeah, it's a great partnership with me and Andy, and it's going very, very well, and it'll only keep going from strength to strength.
Absolutely. Jason, in the fight then, if we go back to that sort of sixth round, you seem to almost like switch tactics. I'm just interested to know if it was something that was pre-planned or if it was a adaptation in fight, so to speak. So you seem to kind of get up on the balls of your feet and really start to dance and move around and fight off the back foot a bit and really box. Was that always in the kind of in the game plan, or was that just something that kind of came up as the fight progressed?
Look, I haven't watched the fight back yet myself, but I have heard a lot of ones say around the sixth, seventh round we've seen a real change and a real momentum switch in the fight. And for me, it wasn't planned. It wasn't a conversation that I even had in my own head throughout the fight, thinking like, right, I got to change things up here. What am I going to do now? It was a feeling. It was something that came over me. Like, you know, I just wasn't feeling comfortable. Wasn't feeling the flow. Wasn't feeling like, you know, this is going well here. Like, you know, this is going the way that I wanted to go. So obviously I just got back to what I do best, you know, and that was me up on my toes, enjoying it, you know, trying to find that flow, find that feeling of enjoyment and that feeling of, you know, this is what I want to do here. And once I got into that, it obviously felt good. I started having success and I kept it up and I kept doing it. And yeah, definitely, you know, I think that was a massive change in the fight, because as well, it's made Mosley think, you know, completely changed the aspect of the fight for him, because he was used to this type of a fighter coming at him, then this type of a fighter started coming at him, and he couldn't figure out the second me, like, you know what I mean? He found it very difficult, and you know, he started missing a lot of shots, and whenever he started missing all those shots, then started, you know, playing in his head and started taking his confidence away from him a little bit. And yeah, it all was from feelings, you know. It was all how I felt, and you know, I went with how I felt the fight was going. I didn't really ask myself questions or tell myself to do this or that. It was just a feeling that kind of I rolled with.
It's very interesting that was just instinctive, you know, because I actually was thinking this must be something that they planned, you know, but that's even better. The fact that it just came to you, you know. But listen, when you got then to the end of the fight, there was quite a few close rounds, especially in the first half of the fight. When the referee grabbed your wrist and grabbed his wrist, were you confident that you were going to get the decision, or were you a bit wary? You know, this is an American fighter. He's moved to Vegas. He lives in Vegas now. Were you a bit worried that maybe in such a close fight, they might give it to the hometown fighter, so to speak?
I thought I definitely did enough to win the fight. I thought that, you know, I was positive, and I was pretty sure that they were going to come away and announce me as the winner. But once I heard the 95-95 a draw, kind of started playing in my head, this is the son of Shane Mosley, and you know, are they gonna, you know, maybe favor him in this scenario now? And yes, he is American, he's living in Vegas now, and I was just a bit like, nah, don't do this to me, like, you know. But once I heard 97, 90, or yeah, 97, 93, I was like, no,
Got it.
I have this one now. But yeah, definitely then whenever they raised my hand, you know, it was it was a very happy moment now for sure.
Yeah, well, just tell us a wee bit about that, if you will, Jason, because I don't think I've seen many like post-fight interviews that are both so honest but also so emotional, you know. So tell us why was that? I mean, obviously to win any fight is great, you know, Shane Mosley Jr. in Vegas, even better, but it seemed to be, it was meant something more than that to you, it seemed like.
Yeah, look, being honest, you know, this fight was, it was a massive fight, and it was the biggest fight of my career to date. Um, there was a lot on the line on this fight. You know, I go in and won this fight. They're talking now the likes of a BOBO ANDRADE, a world title fight. Um, I get beaten that fight. Where do I go? Like, what's next? Do you know what I mean? Like, what's the options? How do I come back from that? Like, what's going to happen in my career after that fight? You know, so there was a lot riding on the line in that fight, and obviously being out for a year and a half, and the whole COVID thing, and Andy not getting out there, and a few other issues along the way, a few other hurdles that we had to overcome. You know, it was a matter of 16 months of emotions, up, down, fights happening, fights not happening, things going my way, things not going my way. It was just a kind of a relief of emotions that came out of me whenever my hand was raised and I got the decision. Because it was, look, every fighter goes through a hell of a lot. Like, anybody that knows boxing or that is into boxing in any way knows it's probably the most bumpiest roads you can come across. Like, it's probably, there's never nothing really goes smoothly in boxing. Like, there's always
And
hiccups, or there's always stuff along the way. Like,
it's just all consuming as well, Jason, isn't it? It takes over absolutely every aspect of your mental strength, your physical strength, emotional, spiritual, everything. And like, you put so much into it.
100%. Like, you know, there's boxing is it's a full investment, and as you said, spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, it's a full investment. And you know, with the whole lockdown COVID situation, 5 possible fights happening and falling through, Andy not being able to make it, you know, the Mosley fight being on 2 or 3 times and being rescheduled. I was like, am I ever going to fight again? Like, do you know what I mean? Is this
Yeah,
ever going to happen for
yeah,
me? I
yeah.
really, at one stage, you know, I really thought that there's somebody up there telling me, Jason, get away from this game. Like, this isn't for you at all. Like, this is not meant to happen for you. Like, but you know, I stayed positive. I stayed disciplined. I took things just one day at a time. I didn't look too far down the line. And you know, whenever big fights were happening, I didn't live up here with the possibility of these things. And whenever fights fell through, I didn't live down here with the disappointment of them. I kept myself here. You know, every day I looked at what I had in life. I looked at what I'm grateful for in life, and you know what I have. There's so many people in the world would want it. So, and that's just simple things. Like, you know, I'm not saying that I live a massive, big, luxurious life like that. This is just simple stuff in life that, you know, I'm very grateful to have. Like, I'm very grateful to have my health and be able to wake up in the morning and go for a run if I want, or lie in my bed if I want. You know, they're just the simple little things in life I was very grateful for, and that's what I took advantage of, and that's what I look forward to every single day, was just waking up and being grateful for what I have. And you know, we don't know what is going to come tomorrow. We don't know what is in store tomorrow. So let's just get up today and live today the best that we possibly can. And that's the way that I took things, and that's the kind of mindset that I had. And of course, every day wasn't like that, but the majority of the times, that's the way that I tried to be. And you know, I tried to wake up every day with that type of a mindset, and you know, that really helped me through the whole difficult periods, and that's what got me to fight night on May 29th against Mosley Jr., and that's what got me through that fight and to become victorious.
Well, your perseverance paid off, Jason, and you won that crossroads fight, if you will. And it occurred to me watching your Twitter today, all the primary school kids out cheering you on as you were going past in the car. And I was just thinking to myself, you know, who knows, like in amongst that crowd of primary school kids, you could inspire, you know, the next boxing star of Ireland, you know, because they remember things like that.
Without a doubt, like that is that's what happened to me. Like, you know, there was a lad, he's a friend of mine now, Stephen O'Reilly, that grew up in this town along with me. He was maybe 2 or 3 years older than me. But you know, whenever you're 8 or 9 years of age and he's maybe 13 years of age, that's a lot at that age. And you know, he went away and became a European schoolboy champion. He came back home to a big homecoming, and with not a convertible, but no roof on the car, you know, and he was sitting in the back of it, and I was sitting in beside him because I was at the same club at the time. And you know, I was just like, just looking up to him, thinking, I want to be you, like. And you know, he inspired me to go on and to do what I have done in my career. And you know, if just one kid can turn around and go and achieve their dreams by seeing me coming through the town, then my life's a success. Like, you know, no matter what else happens in my life, if one kid can turn around and achieve their dreams because they see me go and doing things and achieving things, and then I've succeeded at life, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
100%.
it was a very it was a it was a very emotional moment, coming through the town with everybody out. There was kids, primary schools, there was elderly people, there was businesses that have just reopened out on the streets welcoming me home. And for me, I was sitting out of the car, I was buzzing, I had loads of excitement about me. But for all the cars that were following me and following the parade that was behind me, that were just in the moment, a lot of people came up to me after and were saying, like, Jason, that was such an emotional moment. For the year and a half that everybody has been through, to see the actual town busy with people out and about, and also to see joy, happiness, and a celebration going on. You know, a lot of people were saying that they found it very emotional driving through the town behind me. And, you know, I'm just delighted that I'm a normal fella that's just enjoying, loving what I'm doing in boxing, but I'm able to give joy and happiness and stuff to people. And, you know, that's just, that's enough for me, more than any belt could ever kind of do, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. Well, Viva Ireland, as you said, and Viva Ballybouquet.
Exactly.
Yeah, Viva Ballybouquet.
Without a doubt.
Well, listen, last question. I'll let you go, Jason. You called out Bobo Andrade in the ring after the fight. He's kind of king of the who needs him club, isn't that right? I mean, he's kind of the awkward. If you looked up awkward boxer in a dictionary, you'd probably see his face there. Yeah, but he's someone who. Do you feel like, Jason, you've got a bit of power in both hands? And I don't know if you've seen the fight against Liam Williams. Liam got to him a couple of times. Do you feel like either if you can get to him, of course that's the big conundrum, but if you can actually get to him, he can be hurt?
Without a doubt, you know, and I think people seen in my last fight that I have a bit of power about me. I can fight, but I can also box. And I think that's what some fighters were lacking against Bobo Andrade, was the ability to change and to adapt their style. Whereas I think that a fight with me and Bobo Andrade would be very exciting for the boxing fans, because we've got two boxers that can move, that are technically gifted, but Bobo also can bang. Like, you know what I mean? He's dropped Liam Williams. He's actually dropped a lot of fighters, but is unable to put the finishing touches on things.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think that I could chink in his armor. Like, you know what I mean? I don't think that I'd be there enough in his face for him to hurt and drop me. And I think whenever it comes to the point, I'd be able to put it on him a bit and hurt him and, push him back as well. So I think I do have the style that can beat him. I think it would be a great fight. It's not my style to disrespect and to bully someone into kind of fighting me. I'm a very respectful fighter. I think he's a great champion, and it would be a pleasure to get the opportunity to fight against him and challenge him for that world title. But I definitely do think I have the goods to beat him, and I'll give him one hell of a fight, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely be one I think worth watching. That's for sure, Jason. Yeah. Well, listen, Jason, thanks a million for joining us and giving us your time. Congratulations on a massive victory on Saturday night, and hopefully we can get you on again ahead of your next fight, whether that's BOBO, ANDRADE, or whoever. Folks, it's Jason Quigley talking to Paul Tully for Boxing King Media in association with theboxingking.com. Hit subscribe and follow us across all major social media networks. Jason, thanks a million.
Thanks very much for having me, Paul. Appreciate it. And anytime at all, give me a shout. I'd be more than happy to come on.
Gentlemen, top man, all the best. Jason, cheers.